Hey, welcome everybody. The Majors Live, episode 303 here on TMS Next Radio, themajors.net. I am Adam Hernandez, and look who's back, everybody!
I'm back! Yay! It's been about a month.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yep. How you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing great now. I'm back.
Doing good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm kind of bummed that Dorf is out tonight.
Yeah, Dorf is off on a romantic weekend. See, all the he was making fun of you when you were gone.
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to some of the shows, so now it's my turn to make fun of him. And one of the times that I was gone was actually for my anniversary.
Yep.
So, but I'm happy to be back.
Good. I'm glad you're back. Glad you're back. But yeah, welcome everybody. Episode 303. Got some stuff to get to tonight. We're doing a little bit of, interestingly enough, World Series. Now moving to a best of three after the Dodgers beat the Astros last night, scoring 5 runs in the 9th inning to what was the final in that game? Was it 7-1?
I think it was 6-1.
Was it 6-1?
I'm not 100% sure. I know it was 7-1 or 6-1 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever. Dodgers won. We're going to be talking a little bit about the college football playoff rankings, Shawn, that are coming out this Tuesday night. So Halloween night could be a very scary time if you're some of those teams up near the top of the AP and the college polls. You may find yourself on the outside looking in to start. Then again, though, it's the first week of the college football rankings. There's plenty of time for your, to make up any ground with that one. And will the Yankees regret not bringing back Joe Girardi, who there was a quote unquote mutual parting between the two? However, it sounds like first and foremost, the Yankees weren't going to be offering Girardi a contract. 1 game away from the World Series. 1 game away, 1 win away from the World Series. And doing a little bit of stupid shit of the week. Our fan question, though, did Rob Manfred drop the ball with the Yuli Gurriel suspension? Suspended 5 games, Shawn. 5 games. Starting next season. We'll get to that in just a little bit, though. But, Shawn, as we all know, you haven't been with us for the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Last week, we did a Sandlot report revolving around the World Series, our World Series predictions. I believe I picked the Dodgers in 7. Dorf picked the Astros in 6. First of all, we're going to do a little bit, our leadoff tonight. The World Series moving to a best of 3. I want to know from you a few questions or a few things I want to get from you. First of all, can the Dodgers keep the bats going? Because they really came alive last night in the 9th inning. Obviously, they're going, with the Astros having the offense that they do, one of the most electrifying offenses in the American League this past regular season. Can the Dodgers keep the bats going? Because there's going to be 2 key points for both of these teams, it seems like. And it's all based on what happened in Game 4. Can the Dodgers keep the bats going tonight in Game 6 and then possibly a Game 7? What do you think?
I physically doubt that the bats are going to keep going because you look at it, you're going against Dallas Keuchel tonight. They already struggled in that Game 1, the first game against them, and then the next game they got Justin Verlander. Those are by far probably 2 of the better pitchers in baseball right now, and it doesn't matter how lefty happy that Dodgers lineup is too. Like Bellinger, you have Jock Peterson, you have Corey Seager. Those 3 guys right there, you need those bats right there. But when you're facing a lefty pitcher like Dallas Keuchel, you're going to struggle. I'm like, that's a huge bonus for the Astros right there because that's going to shut down their offense.
Okay. So. On the flip side, Astros bullpen imploded last night.
Geez.
They imploded. Like we said, they gave up 5 runs in the 9th inning alone. It seems like that may be one of the keys to the Astros going forward is can the bullpen rebound? Can the bullpen keep the Dodgers bats intact? Because as we know, in these all or nothing games, which the World Series is, We see starters coming in as relievers and so on and so forth. A lot of these games, these remaining games very well may come down to bullpen games. Can the Astros bullpen rebound and keep those Dodgers' bats in check?
It's going to be hard because obviously they announced today that they took out Giles as their closer. You're not going to see anything really like how last year when you had Aroldis Chapman and Andrew Miller throw like 50 innings in the playoffs. You're not going to. There's no relief pitcher on either team that's even close to like that. And
you don't think Kenley Jansen can do that?
No, I don't think he can do that.
He can go multiple innings.
Yes, he can go multiple innings, but there's no chance that he's going to be able, because you look at Chapman and Miller, they both were starting pitchers longer than they were relief pitchers, so they still had that stamina where they could go that far. And Jansen, I don't think can even go more.
Is it fair to say that Jansen's the best reliever though in
baseball, in the World Series right now? Yeah, oh yeah, okay. By far, yeah. And you look at that, the Astros bullpen is going to struggle now. I'm like, after last night, it's going to take a big blow. So that's what they're going to look for Dallas Keuchel and Justin Verlander to go as long as they can. Like, with these two, like, especially tomorrow. So, for example, they're going to let Verlander pitch 150 pitches if they want tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, the next game. So, Keuchel might be more of kind of a pitch, like, watch, because he possibly could pitch Game 7 if there's a Game 7. So, yeah, it's going to struggle with, basically, they need Keuchel to go as long as they can with the least amount of pitches. Today, definitely.
For you, in your eyes, the Astros will win this series. Why?
Starting pitching. I mean, like, Keuchel and Verlander. That's right there, basically the starting pitching. Because obviously, you see the hitting's going to be there. But what's going to win them is Keuchel and Verlander being pretty much perfect. And that's what they've been so far.
Yeah, I definitely think you're on point with that one. It seems like, for me, the two offenses in this World Series are very, very similar. I think they both can go off at any time. Obviously, we've seen them struggle. Their fair share as well.
Yes.
During the ALCS, we saw a drought with the Astros in their offense, which ultimately almost cost them the ALCS against the Yankees. That obviously came around, and they were able to scrounge out a win in Game 7. I think that definitely looking ahead to this, the Astros are certainly going to have to rely on their 1 and their 2 going forward with Keuchel and Verlander, because I think head to head, those two are better, obviously, than what. First of all, I think Clayton Kershaw is the best pitcher in the series.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
But beyond Kershaw, excuse me, I think that there's some question marks beyond that. Same thing goes with the Astros, but that's beyond Keuchel and Verlander. That's not just beyond your number one.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, in my opinion, with that part too, I think the Astros actually have a little bit deeper starting rotation than the Dodgers do. They rely after Kershaw, they rely on their bullpen a lot more on their starters too, because they have I think obviously they have a better bullpen than the Astros. Most of, like, for example, like Rich Hill, what else would they have Yu Darvish now, but
Yu Darvish.
He's been kind of iffy, the past couple years and stuff like that. So some games he goes the 8 innings and looks like Yu Darvish, and then there'd be like a game he's like 4 innings and it's like, who's this guy? He's been so inconsistent, so they have to rely on their bullpen more for him too.
My worry too about Yu Darvish is pitching in big games, because that's something that
I've noticed he struggled a lot like that.
Yeah, and I know that's not something that Keuchel has for the most part been used to, but Kershaw and Verlander have obviously they've obviously been in big postseason games. But that's something that worries me about Yu Darvish a little bit is pitching in these spots, especially right now. Because it's not getting any. I mean, this is about as intense as you're going to get. These final
and plus,
games
you look at it, isn't he like in his mid-30s now? Almost?
Yu Darvish?
Or is he early 30s, something like that? And like you could tell, it's the wear and tear on him.
Let me see, because I thought I could have sworn Yu Darvish was
I thought he was older than.
Well, he did. I mean, he was obviously he came over from Japan. He was
Right.
professional there.
Uh-huh.
You Darvish. See, this is usually what you do when Dorf is here.
I know, right? Exactly. I'm always getting all this stuff. So.
You Darvish is 31.
Yeah, so he's in his early 30s, and coming over from Japan too. I'm pretty sure he started when he was like 16 over there, anyways.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have the experience pitching in big games. You could tell wear and tear on him is coming a little earlier than most people. He started at a way early age.
Yeah, he's certainly had his injury concerns and whatnot. So, what about the Dodgers? The Dodgers won the series because
they're hitting. Obviously, it's like what we just talked about. They're pitching besides Kershaw. They kind of struggle with their starting pitching, so their hitting has to step up. And basically, what they did like last night in the ninth, and they need to take advantage of that to keep it going. But going against Keuchel and Verlander, this is how they're going to win. They have to hit these guys.
They have to get the bats going.
They have to. That's a must.
I was talking with you before the show, Shawn, and we're kind of. I asked you, who you thought was going to win from here on out, and it's kind of interesting to see which way you're going with this. But who do you ultimately think wins the World Series?
Ultimately, who I think is going to win the World Series will be the Dodgers. As much as I would like the Astros to win, the Dodgers I see winning because obviously they have Game 5 tonight in Houston going against Dallas Keuchel, but they have Kershaw going, so that's going to be up in there. It's a toss-up. If Dodgers win this game, they're going to win out no matter what.
So they'll win out. It won't go to a Game 7.
No, it won't go to Game 7. If Dodgers win tonight, it will go 6 games. Because it's gonna be so hard to go into Los Angeles and pitch there. When they're for the Astros, even though you got Justin Verlander going, the momentum if they lose tonight, the momentum the Dodgers pick up going into home is gonna be so hard to beat.
So but it seems like given the pitching matchups, because like you said, we are moving to a best of 3.
Yep.
It would seem like it would favor the Astros though, given they have the better pitchers remaining. In the
you'd think, yeah, obviously you would think, but coming off, say, if they do win tonight, coming off a road win in the World Series to come home for the last 2 games of the series, being up 3-2, it's the momentum is like the amount of pressure that's going to be put on Justin Verlander is going to be hard. But obviously we've seen him come through, we've seen him do great things, but that's probably, to be honest, doing that, what Verlander would have to do if the Astros lose tonight, that pressure would be probably the hardest pressure to play underneath at all, especially being in the World Series like that on Game 6 on the road, do or die basically.
I originally said the Dodgers in 7, so I am sticking with my prediction. I think with the Dodgers right now, I think that their offense continues to roll, and they're able to overcome the two-headed monster in Keuchel and Verlander. And I think it's going to come down to, I really do think that's going to come down to a bullpen game as well, which is ultimately going to tip in the Dodgers' favor as well. So I think eventually, that I'm going to go with the Dodgers winning tonight. Houston winning Game 6, and then the Dodgers taking Game 7.
See, I
in an instant classic.
I agree with you 100% on that. And the thing is, it's like if the Dodgers win tonight, I can see Dallas Keuchel pitch in Game 7, and then you would have the rest of your starting rotation besides Verlander in the bullpen, ready to go just in case something happens in the first inning or second inning, ready to go. And because that bullpen, it's struggling. You can't rely on that right now unless, somehow you see tonight if they do better. But Game 7, that entire starting rotation will be in that bullpen.
Yeah, so let's see. We're going to have... So let's see, Game 6 or Game 5 tonight in Houston. Tomorrow will be a travel day. They pick up again on Tuesday. So, So Keuchel will be working on
a 3-day rest.
On 3 days rest. Yeah. You have to. Well, and that's the thing, though, is it would have to. Looking at it like that.
See, that's why I probably if the situation right now, I would have had Verlander pitch tonight, thinking about it, because he has the more experience of coming off a short rest like that, and he has a way stronger arm than Dallas Keuchel does. And that's what I would have done. You know, you traded for this ace. He's pitching on 2 days rest, in my opinion, for the World Series. That's how I see it. I'm like, I don't care who you are.
So you're just looking to have Keuchel go Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So what do you think then? You're saying the Dodgers, but 6 or 7?
7.
7 for the Dodgers? All right.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. Because I'm like, I can see Houston winning tonight.
So Houston winning tonight. Okay, you're going a little the opposite of me. So you're going Houston tonight, and then the Dodgers take the next 2. Okay. All right. Well, moving right along here, we're going to get into our bitches and badasses to start this week. And let's see here. Got to get some music going. Let's see here. We'll go with let's go with I don't know, Going Up maybe? How's this one sound? No, that's too.
Yeah.
There we go. That's not bad. All right, bitches and badasses this week. Shawn, who is your badass?
My badass is actually Justin Rose.
Justin Rose.
You know, coming back and winning the golf outing the other day. Dustin Johnson just tanked it. Like he Rose came back from an 8 deficit point. You know, like how hard is that? That's literally so hard. Being behind by 8 strokes is super hard to come back and win. You know, it's very impressive in my eyes. Dustin Johnson, I don't know what the heck happened to him. Dude, #1 golfer in the world, just choked. He looked like A-Rod in the playoffs. Like, literally, he was so bad. I don't know if you watched any of it. Dude, he was missing, like, 3-foot putts. You know, he was slicing on his chipping game. It's like, what is going on with this guy?
I didn't catch any of it.
He had, like, a natural breakdown. Like, for a second, I was like, is Tiger Woods golfing again? I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, it was an unbelievable comeback in my mind. And, you know, I love seeing things like that, especially, you know, a lot of people don't really pay attention to golf as much as, like, obviously I know you do too and stuff like that. And I love golf. I could golf every day if I could. But it's just so cool seeing stuff like that in that sport.
My badass this week, Alex Ovechkin. Second straight week for me that I'm picking Alex Ovechkin. Or second straight show, excuse me. I'm going with Alex Ovechkin, though. Did a awesome move this past, I believe it was a couple days ago, this weekend. Was it yesterday or Friday? One of those 2 days. Went out, bought some clothes for a homeless guy in Edmonton. I think that's very, very cool. And aside from having an awesome start to the season, Alex Ovechkin is obviously a pretty cool person as well. If he's going to, especially if he's going to go out and buy a homeless guy a jacket, some shoes, and I think he bought him a hat as well. So definitely a cool move on his part. Alex Ovechkin, though, my badass. This week, moving along, though, to our bitches. There we go. Bitch this week. Go ahead, Shawn.
All right. I am going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. You know, we all knew that the Cleveland Browns were going to be bad, like awful bad. But at least with the 49ers, you would kind of predict, you know, I'm like, hey, you guys actually have some type of talent. You guys doing this. Good God, do they look awful. They just look awful. Quarterback situation, obviously, you had Brian Hoyer starting. Wasn't getting the job done. And then they bring in Beat Hard or whatever his name is. And he just looked like crap today. Like, awful. I don't know if you watched any of that game or paid attention to it. Oh, my God. Today just looked just ridiculous bad. The run game, Carlos Hyde is... you figure, I'm playing for a contract. You're going to want to do something, maybe? Obviously not. He just doesn't care. So now they're 0-8 on the season. And, you know... They just, like, and especially the week before, because I wasn't here when they played Dallas. Wow. Dallas looked like freaking playing against a high school team. It was just so bad. It was the worst. Like, to be honest, I can see 2 0-16 teams this year with the 49ers and the Cleveland Browns.
I want to see the rest of Cleveland's or not Cleveland. 49ers schedule.
I have them right here. I have it right here.
Okay, go ahead.
Next week they have the Cardinals, and they're home against the Cardinals. Then they're home against the Giants. That's a game they have a chance of winning against the Giants. And then the following week they play Seattle at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not going to happen. And then they have the Bears in Chicago. And then they play Houston after that away. And then they got the Titans home, the Jaguars home, and then the last game of the season they play the Rams.
There's 3 games on that schedule that I think that they possibly could win.
Let me guess them.
Go ahead.
The Giants,
Yes.
the Bears,
Yes.
and the Titans.
I was going to say Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, I think, going to come in. Because you look at that time, that's Christmas Eve or whatever, they're going to have Leonard Fournette probably fully healthy, and then he's just going to run all over that defense.
Okay, let's take a look at Cleveland then. Do you have Cleveland?
I can bring it up right now.
Yeah, bring up Cleveland. So let's see what because they lost today 33-16
To Minnesota.
to Minnesota in London.
Yeah, and that's a team right there, Minnesota. It's kind of a shocker, but okay, you ready for it? So Cleveland next week they're playing in Detroit.
Okay.
Then they have Jacksonville at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're in Cincinnati, and then they are in LA against the Chargers, and then they're home against the Packers, and then home against Baltimore, away in Chicago, and then away in Pittsburgh.
All right, I'm going to go with...
I have 2 games that they have maybe a chance of winning.
Let me see. I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Nope. I wasn't picking them. Is there...
Bengals.
Nope.
Green Bay.
I think it's because they're home. They play against them at home. And Green Bay struggle they don't have a quarterback. Their defense sucks.
Yeah.
They have no run game.
Chicago.
No.
Baltimore?
Yeah, I think because they're playing at home. If they were playing in Baltimore, no. But because of the advantage of them being at home, I think they have a chance against Baltimore. But if Baltimore plays like what they did this week on Thursday against Miami,
yeah,
they have no chance. Depends. Basically, Baltimore is if Joe Flacco shows up, if he doesn't get another concussion, they're gonna win.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we very well could see 2 0-16 teams this season. I don't think it'll happen. I think like it. As hard as it is to go undefeated in the regular season, I think it is also hard to go winless.
Yeah.
In a regular season. So I don't think ultimately we'll see 2 0-16 teams. I don't even think we'll see 1 0-16 0-16 team. I mean, but it's possible. It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. I think there's at least 1 win there, though, between both of those teams. Well, 2 wins between both of those teams. One of those going to each the 49ers and the Cleveland Browns. But yeah, if there is ever a season, because I agree, both those teams are horrendous. Yeah. I think that there's more upside with Cleveland, though. I think Cleveland can have a very good defense here in the next couple of seasons. San Francisco, though, is. I mean, you talk about a team with zero direction.
Yeah, and the thing is, they have talent, but there's no control of what's happening there. The chemistry there is just so awful.
You want to know something kind of crazy though with that team?
What's up?
Who was the last 0-16 team?
It's Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions. Who was running that team?
Wasn't
Who was the team president, general manager?
Matt Millen.
Matt Millen. What was he doing before he became the Lions, basically, a top executive with the Lions?
Was he with the 49ers at all or anything?
No.
Or with Cleveland?
No.
I don't know.
He was on TV. He was a TV guy. He was a TV analyst.
John Lynch.
Oh,
I see where you're going now.
Who was Matt Millen's second in command when he was with the Lions?
What's his name?
Martin Mayhew.
Yeah, Martin Mayhew.
Where's Martin Mayhew right now?
Is he with Cleveland?
He's with the 49ers.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't even think about that. That is
So-
awesome. That makes so much sense right now.
So, you know the thing is too, I thought the 49ers had a decent draft too, but I don't know. Nobody learns from mistakes here in the NFL.
Oh, that is awesome. That makes so much sense now to me. That makes me even think about it even more. That is fantastic.
So if there was ever a team that was going to go 0-16, can you imagine if they do go 0-16? I know. You're going to have Martin, and I'm pretty sure Martin Mayhew was a part of that 0-16 Lions team.
He was.
Oh my God. You would have to think if that were to happen again, he is. I mean, wouldn't NFL teams avoid him like the Black Death, like the plague?
Yeah, they would.
You would think so, but I mean, he is. I mean, that's like that's the plague. That's the.
Oh gosh,
it's the Black Death that ravaged Europe in football terms.
Oh my gosh. That seriously, I didn't even think about that. That blows my mind right now. That is awesome.
Anyways, college football playoff rankings, like I said, Shawn, come out this Tuesday night, Halloween night. And right now, let me go ahead and bring up the rankings right now. We have, in the AP, I'll go ahead and read off the top 10. Because you have Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Wisconsin 4, Notre Dame 5, Clemson 6, Penn State 7, Oklahoma 8, Miami of Florida 9, and then TCU at number 10. In the coaches, it doesn't deviate too far from that. You have Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Wisconsin 4, Clemson 5, Miami of Florida 6, Penn State 7, Notre Dame 8, Oklahoma 9, and then Oklahoma State number 10. Let's see here. So, I can go ahead and read off the FCS coaches if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
James Madison, North Dakota State, Jacksonville State, Central Arkansas, Sam Houston State, NC, A&T, South Dakota State, Samford, and Warford. I know you're interested in that, Shawn. But like I said, for me, I think the playoff rankings, the first round of the playoff rankings is going to come down to 6 different teams. And I think the top 2 spots are already set in stone. I think you're obviously going to have Alabama and Georgia be your number 1 and number 2, with Alabama probably being your number 1 and Georgia probably being your number 2.
Correct.
The 3 and 4 spots are going to be a little bit more up in the air. You're going to have Ohio State, you're going to have Wisconsin, you're going to have Notre Dame, and you're going to have Clemson, all vying for those final 2 spots. Obviously, this isn't the end-all, be-all because it's just the first week of the rankings.
Right.
But like I said, it's going to come down to those 4 teams. Personally, for me, I think Ohio State is in right now to the first round of the rankings just because of that big win last night, that big comeback win over Penn State.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely in. Aside from that, you have an 8-0 Wisconsin team. 8-0 Wisconsin team. So I know a lot of people may be thinking right now that they should be inserted in that number 3 spot. However, you look at their strength of schedule thus far. Wisconsin hasn't played anybody.
Well, that's the thing. They're not playing anybody all seasons except for coming up. The only hard team that they have coming up is Michigan.
They have Michigan and what's Iowa this year?
Iowa's not much or nothing really, to be honest.
What's Iowa's schedule? Or what are they here?
I think they're barely a 500 team. I think.
I can't remember what they were. No, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 5-3. So
they're barely above 500.
Okay, so they've got Iowa at home. They've got Michigan at home. So they've got their hardest road game is on the road against Indiana.
I know, and they don't even play Ohio State.
They don't play Ohio State. God, the Big Ten West is garbage.
Yes.
It is absolute garbage.
And see, going how I see it, I don't think Ohio State is a fit in, or Wisconsin is officially in. I really don't think, because obviously,
No, I don't think they are either. I'm just talking about the first round, though.
Right.
or the first week.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard.
I mean, Ohio State, they already have one loss to their credit. They lost. I mean, their one loss, Ohio State, was to Oklahoma so far. Now, they're on the road against Iowa next week. I think they beat Iowa.
Yeah.
They go home to play Michigan State. I think they win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Then they are at home against Illinois. They're going to destroy Illinois. Then they're on the road against Michigan.
And that's going to be a tough game right there.
Aside from the struggles that Michigan has had this season, rivalry game, I know that's a cliche thing to say, but it's still going to be a tough game. It's still going to be a close game. I still think Ohio State wins that game now, but...
Because you look at also Michigan with, obviously we are here from Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan. After seeing the other night, getting to see Peters play the redshirted freshman, I'm like, oh, this guy actually looks halfway decent. We might have found our quarterback situation, which we've been struggling throughout the year, but obviously I know half of the season's already over with. Who knows what's going to happen next game? It's going to be tough, but, I see the potential with this kid a little bit, and we possibly could have figured out that situation we've been struggling at that could have been saved some of these other games that we lost.
Yeah, I've got to see more from Brandon Peters.
Right,
though.
exactly.
I mean,
I'm the same way.
Yeah, it was a home game against Rutgers.
Right.
So,
but
I mean, yes, he did look good in the to start, but again, I've got to see more from him.
Exactly. I'm not going out like, oh, this guy's our future, he's our savior, like how I've been seeing.
If they played him against Michigan State, they would have won.
I've been seeing that left and right. I'm like, just shut up. I'm like, just let the kid play a little bit. Yeah, down the road, it was like you said, it was home against Rutgers. Come on,
You got to look at You got to look at Notre Dame though. Looking at Notre Dame, their one loss this season was a 1-point game against Georgia. Against Georgia, they lost that game, the second game of the season, 20-19. They lost to them. After that, they destroyed Michigan State on the road.
Yep.
Michigan State is still a ranked team.
Yes.
And better than I think a lot of people thought that they would be this year. They beat you. They annihilated USC 49-14, and they annihilated NC State, who at the time was 14 in the country, 35-14. The remaining games coming up, and this is the thing with Notre Dame. If Notre Dame wins their games coming up, and there's not a whole lot of change in what we've seen as far as these other teams go, Notre Dame is going to go to the playoff because this is what they have coming up. They've got Wake Forest, who sucks. They've got Miami.
I'm actually looking at Miami's schedule right now too.
On the road, then they play Navy at home, and then they're on the road against Stanford to finish out the season. If Notre Dame runs the table, they're going to be in the college football playoff. You know what? I think that there's a good argument to be made for them to be in the first round of the college football rankings here. Aside from that, we also have Clemson. I think, Clemson, you look at their body of work, that loss against Syracuse hurts, obviously, because it was recent, too. Coming up with them, they have NC State next week on the road, so it's going to be a big game for them. Florida State, a win at home against Florida State is going to be nothing, as Florida State sucks this year. Citadel's going to be nothing, and then they play South Carolina to finish out the season. Shawn, how I think it's going to come out right now with this first week of college football rankings, playoff rankings, I think you're going to have Alabama and Georgia 1 and 2 respectively. I think you're going to have Ohio State, and then I think you're going to have Notre Dame as your 1, 2, 3, and 4. After that, I think you're going to have Wisconsin be your 5 and Clemson be your 6. Those two are going to be the first two out in this. So like I said, you're going to have Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Notre Dame as your top 4, followed by Wisconsin and Clemson as your 5 and your 6. How do you see that working out?
I like yours. Mine's going to be a little bit different. I think, first of all, like you said, Alabama and Georgia will be 1 and 2. I really think Notre Dame is going to bump up to 3.
Okay.
But then I think Miami is going to because you look at their schedule. They're coming up this week. Virginia Tech, who's ranked number 13.
It's my fault. I didn't even look.
And then they got right after that. They got Notre Dame, who's ranked number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got, I think it's University of Virginia, and then Pittsburgh. But then they got to make up the Florida State game. So Florida State's ranked number 11.
No, they already made up the Florida State game.
Oh, did they?
Yep, they beat them.
Oh, yeah, my bad, right there.
24-20.
Yep. So I just looked at the schedule. But still, I'm saying that one right there is you got Virginia Tech and then Notre Dame. If they beat those two teams, Miami's up there, no doubt about it.
Well, yeah, and they're going to be up there then. No, but you make an interesting point about Miami heading into this one. The only thing though with Miami is, I mean, if we're talking about the first, who's going to make the first round? Actually, their canceled game was
the
Arkansas State.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if they're going to make that.
They're not going to make that up at all. They said they weren't.
I think that. See, the problem with Miami is the same problem up until this point right now. Is the same problem I think Wisconsin is having. Is they really haven't played anybody.
No, the hardest team would be, you could say, Florida State, and
it was on the road, a 24-20 win. And then
there's nothing else really.
I mean, they go on the road. They beat North Carolina. A lot of these are close games too.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, what Syracuse is able to do against
and Georgia Tech, it was a close game and won by 1 point.
I mean, maybe that Syracuse win is elevated just a tiny bit since they're able to beat Clemson.
Right.
But I think ultimately you're going to have the same problems in this first week that Wisconsin is having with their strength of schedule. Obviously there's going to be more teams inserted here. Obviously you're going to have to take a look and see what TCU. There's still a lot of one-loss teams in the country.
Oh yeah.
And then beyond that too, you have UCF, who's still 7-0. You have Memphis, who's a 7-1 team. But for me, I think Clemson's going to get a little bit of play too, considering that they're the defending national champions.
Yes.
But go over your top 4 again. I'm sorry.
1 will be Alabama, 2 will be Georgia, 3 will be Notre Dame, and then 4 will be Miami.
Okay. So you have Ohio State, you have Wisconsin, both out right now.
Yes.
Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not. I would be surprised right now if Miami were to get in. Again, despite their undefeated record so far, I think the only thing that's hampering them is their strength of schedule up until this point. Obviously, if they go on, they're able to beat. If they're able to beat Notre Dame and who was their other one
for Miami?
Yeah, who was
Virginia Tech?
Yeah, Vatek. Obviously, if they're able to beat those two teams, then I think they're going to get more consideration. But I just like what Ohio State, and I really like what Notre Dame has been able to do up until this.
I agree.
Up until this point, and even so, I mean, if it wasn't for last night's win over Penn State
would be.
I think Penn State would obviously be up there, but Notre Dame wouldn't really have a good win to their credit because up until this point right now, they've been beating up on a bunch of bad Big Ten teams. I mean, obviously they beat Rutgers, Maryland, Nebraska. Who cares?
Right.
And then they go out and they kill Army, they kill UNLV, and they beat Indiana to start the season as well. That one signature win, or that one win that could have been there was, against Oklahoma. I think it's garbage. I don't like Oklahoma at all. I think that Oklahoma is a fraud, and they've been a fraud. But yeah, I think if they didn't beat Penn State last night, I don't think they'd be in the consideration right now. They'd have to do something against Michigan State, and they would have to beat Michigan in the final game of the season.
You could like Auburn. They have 2 big games. They have to play against Georgia and Alabama still. So that's going to be a little interesting couple games right there too, because Auburn could be an upset team to possibly take out the first and second team.
Yes,
But,
yes, yes. Auburn has Georgia, and man, talk about a tough final stretch of the schedule. You get Georgia and Alabama.
And you could say the same thing for Michigan. They got to go against Wisconsin and Ohio State the last 2 games of the season.
Thing with
there's different scenarios you look at. It could be upsetting games.
No, you're right. You're right about the Wisconsin game, because I think if Wisconsin gets one loss to their credit,
they're done. Is they don't
they're
have,
done. They don't have the strength of schedule.
Exactly.
So I think definitely. I agree with you on that one too. So we'll have to see how that shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Shawn has Alabama, Georgia,
Notre Dame,
and Miami of Ohio. So, we play some bets? I'm just kidding.
It's not Miami of Ohio.
Or Miami of Florida.
I'm like, Miami of Ohio. I'm like, damn.
Hey, come on, man.
I'm like Big Ben.
They're pretty good, man. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what Miami of Ohio is doing this either.
I have no idea either. Oh, that's funny.
Couple things to kind of get the final stretch of the show tonight. Shawn, Yankees parting ways with Joe Girardi after 10 seasons in the Bronx. Went to the playoffs, I believe it was. Well, they won a World Series with
Yep, and it's first few years he's won a couple.
Yeah,
was it a couple? Did he win 1 or 2?
He won one with the Yankees.
Okay.
Yep. And I can't remember if he won one with the. Did he win the Marlins? No, that was Jack McKeon.
Yeah,
that was Jack McKeon that won with the Marlins. Anyways, though, I don't know. Like, when I saw this, after seeing the body of work that he did throughout the season, because I think wholeheartedly the Yankees were ahead of schedule with this roster. I think the Yankees are going to be good. I think the Yankees are going to be really good again. Got a nice, young crop of talent.
Yeah, Judge, Sanchez, Didi.
Yeah.
You can put Hicks up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your leadoff hitter with Gardner, who's that veteran that's leading that young core.
I think that there's some work they need to do with their starting rotation.
Yes.
They're gonna have. I don't think very much of Tanaka. Obviously, they're not gonna bring back CC,
right,
who's getting older. I think that there's some work they need to do in their starting rotation. I think that their bullpen is still good. I think their bullpen's going to be fine. Beyond that, I think this team is set up for success going forward. Look, I know Joe Girardi isn't a big numbers guy, and I like numbers guys in my manager, especially now given the way that the MLB is going. However, it seems like the growing consensus is that the Yankees are ultimately going to regret letting Joe Girardi get away. And I know that may be tough to say right now, considering we don't know who the Yankees are going to replacing him with. However, I don't think that if you're going and managing the Yankees, you can't just get anybody to insert into that spot. New York is obviously a very, very tough city to play and coach and manage in. And it takes a certain somebody to go in there and actually succeed. And I don't know who they're going to be able to get to do that, because obviously there's plenty of managers out there right now who are looking for jobs. I really like what the Nationals did today in getting Dave Martinez. I really like that move. I wish my Tigers made that same move.
It would have been
because I really didn't like the Gardenhire signing.
Yeah.
But what were your initial thoughts when the Yankees decided not to bring back Joe Girardi?
I mean, like, with how young that team is and how successful they were this past year, I thought it was a bad thing letting him go, to be honest, because you need that veteran leadership there to teach these young guys, and he showed that he worked well with them. So now you're going to bring in this new person with a whole new scheme to teach these guys. How do you know that they're going to adapt to it the way they did with Girardi? You already shown that he was successful with this young core. So why wouldn't you just bring him back, So like you said, there's a lot of managers out there that possibly become in. For example, they do like bringing in catching like former
you're
players.
gonna say Brad Osmus.
You could have Brad Osmus. There's Jeff Conine out there now. There's a whole bunch of people they could just bring in. There's tons of people. It just, I think it was a bad idea. You already shown that you saw the successful stuff that he did with these young kids. Like, why take that away? Why take the chance of failure?
It's not only that too, Shawn. It seems like Girardi, even before they were able to get, a nice group of young players, it seems like Girardi was able to do more with just a shitty old Yankees lineup than maybe more so than he was, than he was credited for. Because I always thought even when he, when the Yankees and it wasn't too long ago. I mean, we're talking a few seasons ago when the Yankees were just stricken with an old and tired lineup that they had, that he was still able to
be successful
to be successful in milk whatever he could to to milk whatever he could get out of that roster. And it was something that I think that maybe it was probably taken for granted with this Yankees organization. And NewJersey.com, I mean, they went and listed 9 different reasons why the Yankees will regret Joe Girardi leaving. And again, I think it's a little bit unfair to say that, considering we don't know who the Yankees are going to hire, but one of the reasons why the guy was prepared. This is according to them. Quote from the article: Girardi can't be accused of not being prepared. Call him Binder Joe all you want, but Girardi put significant thought into his moves. For an organization that values information, it's a good thing and one that should be appreciated by fans. I think that they look at it as game 2 mistake in the ALCS, which almost, or not the ALCS, but the ALDS against Cleveland, which almost cost them the series, for not challenging, the hit batter and so on and so forth. Obviously, they come back to bite them. They ended up winning that series, so you really can't hold that against him. But what I was talking about a second ago, he understands New York, and this is what he says: "This is huge. Not many managers can handle the rigors and pressure of managing the New York Yankees. Girardi proved that he's up to the task, never had a losing season, and become accustomed to the daily scrutiny the manager of this franchise has to take in order to keep the job." And again, I think that's incredibly key. I mean, you're not playing in Milwaukee, you're not playing in Arizona, you're not playing in San Diego, you're playing in New York. You're managing the Yankees. You're dealing with the New York press there. Having a winning season each and every year that you were with that team, with some of the makeup of that roster, is an incredible accomplishment, despite the money that is seemingly thrown at the team. Look, I don't think Brian Cashman is all that great of a general manager, and I think that during those years, being able to make up from all those years where Cashman was just throwing prospects at anybody and getting whoever in return, and it not working out. Girardi was able to keep that team competitive. He wasn't fazed by the pressure to win. When 2018 arrives, expectations will be raised in a big way. In fact, it's not out of the question to already consider the 2018 Yankees as the World Series favorites. Girardi dealt with and excelled with this mandate in 2009. The Yankees walked into the season as favorites and walked out with a title. Again, very, very important, especially in New York. Another important aspect that NewJersey.com highlights here: players responded when Girardi helped put the Yankees in an 0-2 hole to Cleveland. It was an easy envision to a sweep for a young team up against the World Series favorites. Instead, the Yankees responded, picked up Girardi, and got past anything resembling a controversy. This manager clearly hadn't lost his team. Again, another important aspect. Not only were you down 0-2 to Cleveland, or to any team, but you're down 0-2 to to Cleveland, the World Series favorites, the team that set the record for consecutive wins in a regular season just this year. So, and again, Cleveland had, awesome starting pitching. They had an incredible bullpen, and those two factors alone could have been certain death, especially for a young team like the Yankees. Girardi was able to help them overcome that. They say no better alternative. If you want Girardi gone, someone has to take his place. Based on a deep list of candidates, the Yankees could probably come up with 10 to 15 names to bring into the Bronx for an interview. But would any be truly better options than Girardi? John Farrell, not close. Brett Osmus, no way. Buck Showalter, maybe. Buck Showalter making a return to the Bronx, that would be interesting. But the odds of Peter Angelos letting that happen are slim to none. A young, inexperienced manager, perhaps. But it's a leap of faith for a team trying to win big next season. He's perfect with the young teams. This has been forgotten outside of winning it all in 2009. You can say the 2006 Marlins, late 2016 Yankees, and 2017 Yankees are the three best jobs Girardi has done with a roster during his time as manager. The common denominator with all three teams, youth. Girardi knows how to put young players in position to thrive, when to back off, and how to get the most out of kids still developing. So, again, I'm not the biggest Girardi fan. I like more of numbers, guys. But however, Girardi has shown that he is able to maybe transcend the numbers a bit in New York, because managing in the Bronx, like we said, is a completely different animal than managing just about anywhere else in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Maybe the next closest that you have to deal with is Boston. But beyond that, there is nobody closer as far as pressure goes in Major League Baseball when it comes to having to deal with fans, having to deal with the media, and the scrutiny and everything that surrounds that.
Yeah, all I can think of is, New York, the Yankees, and then Boston. The only other teams that you say would be even a close, but it's not even really close. You could say Los Angeles Dodgers and Detroit Tigers. Other than that, there's nothing.
I wouldn't say Detroit, but maybe Chicago.
I would say Detroit up till now, because obviously they traded away Justin Verlander. They still have Miguel Cabrera. But other than that, there's no other teams really out there that you could, I don't know. There really isn't anything I can think off the top of my head that, stands out like that. You could have said maybe, like 10 years ago when the Philadelphia Phillies were amazing, when Chase Utley and, what's his name? Howard, was good, and they kept on winning the World Series. Other than that, they had like Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels at the time. You could have said that then, but there's nothing even close to Boston and New York.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's New York. I think it's Boston, and I think that it's anybody else. But I agree with him though. I don't think. When it comes to some of the names out there right now, is Dusty Baker going to go and manage the Yankees? Hell no. And I don't think Dusty Baker would be any good at managing the Yankees. John Farrell's another guy as well. Can he handle the pressure? Probably, but I don't know. I think John Farrell was. Do I think he's a better manager than Joe Girardi? Hell no, I don't think he is. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know. Maybe a Dave Martinez would have been good in that spot.
There's nobody really that you can think of.
If you want to go with a numbers guy, maybe Manny Acta.
Yeah,
but I don't think that. I think the Yankees tremendously undervalued Joe Girardi in these final years. So, anyways, though, stupid shit of the week, Shawn. Stephen A. Smith's, and this comes via Deadspin. Next, manufactured, quote unquote, feud with a professional athlete, and this comes against. Excuse me, let me get it up here. J.R. Smith, and this has everything to do with the new Yankees bench pullovers that have hoods on them, and you have to listen to Stephen A. Smith's comments. They are completely asinine. This guy is he must have taken over for Skip Bayless at ESPN for being the most nonsensical boob that on that network. So here we go. Just listen to this.
What did I say? I said to y'all, there are not too many human beings as a professional athlete that I know that are better than Dwayne Wade. He's a real good dude.
Okay.
A real team player.
Mm-hmm.
And if he believes for 1 second that him being in the starting lineup is going to be counterproductive to J.R. Smith, I said you don't have to worry about a controversy because D. Wade will turn around and go to the bench.
You don't need D. Wade to
What did
tell
he
you
do?
that, though.
Yeah.
He approached Tyronn Lue this weekend and asked to be put on the bench so J.R. Smith could be in the starting lineup. And in game 1, when they played against Boston, J.R. Smith was sitting on that bench in the fourth quarter with a hoodie on. I don't know why the hell Nike made these damn uniforms that have hoods attached to it, by the way. You got a lot of those white folks in the audience that's going to think this is Trayvon Martin being revisited. And I'm not joking about it. The bench is no place for somebody to be wearing hoodies. I have no problem with hoodies. People shouldn't be stereotyped and stigmatized for wearing hoodies. I totally agree with the Miami Heat and Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Ray Allen and all of those guys when they donned those hoodies back then after the shooting of Trayvon Martin by that wannabe cop, Mr. Zimmerman, who should have been convicted. But the bench for a basketball player sitting on a bench with his team, that is no place for a hoodie. I don't know why the hell Nike did that. They need to get rid of them damn hoodies. There's no place for a hoodie. A hoodie shouldn't be attached to a uniform that you can wear while you're on the bench during a game. But J.R. Smith had it on, and he wasn't happy. And psychologically, he can't deal with the relegation to the degree that Dwayne Wade can deal with it. Dwayne Wade is 35. Dwayne Wade's best days are behind him, but he can still ball. He's a man, and he's mature enough to handle it and still be effective for the team moving forward without having to start. That's a more difficult proposition to JR. That's why it made sense
No,
for
not
D-Wade
really.
to do what he did. Once again showing how he's truly class personified and why he is indeed a 3-time champion.
Hey, thank you for...
First of all, Dwayne Wade can't ball anymore.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to ball since his knees basically gave out on him like 3 years ago.
Yeah, D. Wade can't ball. It shouldn't have come down to D. Wade having to go up to the coach and say, "Hey, take me out." No, D. Wade, we're going to take you out anyway. Didn't take
exactly.
Yeah, we weren't waiting for your approval.
Exactly.
For you to be taken out of the starting lineup. Second, how much of a reach is it for this guy, for Stephen A. Smith, to be talking about hoodies now? I mean, is he really going to go this route? And not only that, look, if you want to come out and say, hey, you know what, I think those hoodies on those warm-ups on the bench, I think they look stupid. You move on from that then.
Exactly.
You don't need to go on. But then...
Go on a rant.
Then he talks about Trayvon Martin. He brings that whole thing into it. When it's... And I think J.R. Smith comes on here and too. What does he say? The man is always reaching. What does me wearing my hoodie on the bench have anything to do with reminding white people of Trayvon? Shawn, you're white. Seriously, look at J.R. Smith in that picture.
Okay.
Is the first thing that comes to your mind Trayvon Martin?
No.
No. What the hell is Stephen A. Smith doing? What is he doing? No, none of this is going to be reminiscent of Trayvon Martin. Who's going to think of that? Who is going to think of that? And J.R. Smith and rightfully so, just rips into him. You want to talk about me not playing, that's fine, but don't try and put me in something I have nothing to do with, and I'm not the only one. And he says, show been trash since Skip left anyway. But it's always been trash.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, but I mean, come on. How are you going to reach, and then bring something like that into it? How incredibly ignorant of you to go and even mention something like that. Mention the Trayvon Martin thing, and all of a sudden accuse white people of all of a sudden thinking that's what's going to come up with this. Come on. Those players don't deserve that.
Yeah.
You know, people who aren't racist pieces of shit don't deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are you doing, Stephen A. Smith? That is absolute nonsensical, asinine horse shit that he just spewed.
Yep.
Anyways, that is our stupid shit of the week, and very, very fitting. Keep it on, keeping with this backwards, racist, utter nonsense here. I thought Rob Manfred, what he did was a bad look for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And not suspending Gurriel at least one game during the World Series. I don't care if this isn't fair to the Houston Astros or not, but what he did to Yu Darvish was a total shit show.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a total dickhead. Squinting the eyes, and I think he called him a Chinto or something like that, which is like little Chinese man in I guess Spanish.
Huh.
This guy, Yuli Gurriel, needs to be suspended at least one game.
Yes.
You know what? I thought I would have been fine if Rod Manfred suspended him for the rest of the World Series.
Yeah.
You can't have this type of shit going on in baseball. Especially now. We should be well beyond that. You know what, Shawn, too? Especially with all that's going on in the United States with those protests and everything that happened in Charlottesville. Baseball doesn't need this. Baseball doesn't need these questions being asked about it. And you don't need Rob Manfred going and basically giving Gurriel a slap on the wrist, because those 5 games, the first 5 games of next season in a 162 game year, those first 5 games are essentially meaningless.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. You know how you get players to stop shit like this? You hit
them right at the time where it hurts the most.
Exactly. You know what? A fine isn't going to do anything. These guys make so much money.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to hurt them is if you do it at a time when it means the very, very most. And the time that it means the very, very most is right now, when the Houston Astros are locked in a 2-2 series against the Los Angeles Dodgers in the biggest baseball series of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you go ahead, and that's how you get these things turned around. That's how you stop players from doing shit like this. Mm-hmm. And for Rob Manfred to basically issue out a slap on the wrist, a back rub for the Houston Astros, that's a bad look for baseball.
Yep.
That is an extremely bad look for baseball.
Oh, I didn't want to hurt the rest of the team.
And I'm sorry. He shouldn't have gone out and done it.
Exactly.
You can't do that. You know that cameras are everywhere.
Exactly.
Nonetheless, not that that's an excuse if cameras weren't there, but still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know like that. I thought that was a bad look, Shawn. I wasn't happy about that. I thought that he should have at least been suspended for a game at the very least.
He should have been suspended. I think he should have been suspended right away tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? Baseball wants the ratings. They want their best players in there. So, and that's not just a baseball thing. That's a sports in general thing. Mm-hmm. Anyways, though, moving on to the final leg of the show here, we've got the Marco Fultz era, and with the 76ers hasn't gone off to a hot start here. According to Deadspin, he's going to be out indefinitely with a shoulder issue. Hasn't played a lot this season. I don't know when he's going to be back. Nobody knows when he's going to be back, but I thought that Markelle Fultz, if he was healthy, I thought the sky was the limit with this kid. I don't know what's going to make of it now or what's going to be made of it now, considering we don't know when he's going to be back. Mm-hmm. Shoulder injuries in basketball can mean everything. Mm-hmm. Don't have a working shoulder, you're not going to be very effective on the basketball court. No. So, according to Larry Brown Sports, I don't know why Bob McNair can't keep his fucking mouth shut again. If you look, I understand why people aren't happy with NFL players kneeling during the national anthem. I get it. I do. I get both sides of it. I think that there's some real substance behind what the players are doing. I think they have every right to do that, and obviously people have every right to be pissed off about it, to not agree with it. But the Texans owner, Bob McNair, going out and saying that you've got the inmates running the prison, or he says we can't have the inmates running the prison when it came to players kneeling during the national anthem and not being able to go out and, really issue out punishments to these guys. Why do you have to go out and say that? Why do you have to make these comments and essentially make things worse? Because you know what happened today? Almost the entire Texans team knelt during the national anthem. And you continued to just I don't want to say make this worse, because like I said, I think that there's extremely legitimate reason for these players kneeling. I don't think this comes down to, over privileged players and so on and so forth, thinking that they are being abused by the system. I think a lot of these cases, what these players are doing are talking for the, are the voice for the voiceless. The people that don't have that pedestal yet are still being, discriminated against and, suffering through the system. But for McNair to go and do something like that and have those comments, and it's just, again, what are you doing, man? I do not understand it. What else do we have here, Shawn? And it's probably going to continue to get worse too with that. So, let's see here. I know we're running over here. So, let's see. JT Barrett, after last night's win. Bring this up.
Yeah, I want to hear what exactly he had to say.
Is this the... Let me see if I have the video here. Is this going to work? Because I can always read it, too. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is the actual video from it, though. Or if we can hear it. Come on.
Hey, our leader, JT Barrett!
Are we going to be able to hear it? We might.
This is what it's all about. This is what it is all about. From everything we go through in the offseason, Coach Mick put us through, that's for moments like that. And now everybody sees it. So every time you down, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about life, football, it doesn't matter. You know you can get through it. Because we did it together as a family, as a brotherhood. Long live the brotherhood right here, man. And we gotta keep on going now. We enjoy this one. We definitely gonna enjoy this one. Definitely live the brotherhood.
All right. That's what it's all about, Shawn.
I guess so.
All right, keep an eye on that team moving forward.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Yeah, that was a big win yesterday. Big win, a lot of heart from that team to come back against Penn State, who was rolling up until that game last night, and up until the ending there too, which was really, really remarkable. Ohio State was able to do. And this is something that we may have to touch on maybe next week. But ESPN, more layoffs could be coming. This comes via awful announcing 6 months after laying off about 100 front-facing employees in an unprecedented purge. ESPN could be headed for yet another ugly round of cuts, according to the Sporting News' Mike McCarthy. McCarthy reports that the layoffs could come before the end of the year and will affect employees both in front of and behind the camera, excuse me. This is what he goes on to say. The next round of cutbacks could come down in late November, early December, which hurts considering that's, Christmas time, with 40 to 60 positions potentially being impacted. According to sources, layoffs could hit both on-air TV/radio talent and behind-the-scenes production staffers. This time it won't matter if you're liked or not. It's not going to be pretty, one source warned. Another source expects the flagship SportsCenter franchise to lose people in front of and behind the camera. I see ESPN going down to a path where they have less staff and hire more production companies to provide programs and fill airtime. So, again, I thought that this was going to be a problem for ESPN in the sense that, look, I think that they're still trying to push this whole SportsCenter narrative. Mm-hmm. And the whole SportsCenter thing is gone and forgotten in a way. Because nobody's getting their... Shawn, do you get your highlights from SportsCenter anymore, or do you get them from the internet?
I get them from the internet.
Yeah.
Basically, because everybody has their phones, everybody downloads the apps, and it just pops up onto their phone. Nobody sits down and watches TV in the morning anymore.
No. So, you're usually running out the door,
exactly.
And you're catching up later on. Mm-hmm. You're either catching up the night that it happened, or you're catching up, just throughout the day when you're browsing your phone. You're not tuning into ESPN or anything like that to check out SportsCenter. The most news that SportsCenter has given us is the whole Jamil Hill stuff.
Yeah,
that's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. Other than that, it's
you can say right now basically. The only thing in my mind right now that's saving ESPN, Monday Night Football, the NBA games, and then MLB playoffs.
And the MLB playoffs are
now on TBS and Fox.
Well, they weren't. Wait, were they?
They were on ESPN for a little bit. Like the first round, they had a couple games on it.
But they also have Sunday Night Baseball.
Right, Sunday Night Baseball. So that's what's, I think, saving ESPN. If they lose those contracts, ESPN, you could possibly say goodbye.
I don't think ESPN's going to be going anywhere. But as far as their business model goes, I don't like it. I think they need to do something else with it. I don't think you can rely on a sports show that has been driven by highlights throughout its entirety. I think that's something that obviously needs to change, and until it changes, you're going to keep on seeing layoffs.
Oh yeah,
from the big four letters.
There's so many things out there now that you can get the information that you want. That ESPN was like really the only thing that was doing it back in the day. Mm-hmm. Now there's so many things out there that you can just get it from, and it's
absolutely
it's different. It's totally different now.
Yeah, I agree, Shawn. Anyways, though. That's going to be it for this week's edition of the Majors Live, episode 303 here on TMS Next Radio, themajors.net. We'll be back at you again next week, probably a little bit later. We went on a little early this week, so we'll be on again next week, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time right here on themajors.net. So, for Shawn Dorf on his romantic getaway with his girlfriend, I am Adam. Saying have a good rest of the week, everybody. We'll see you next time.